In fact, they had a vote, and he said, how did this happen? And he said, he goes, well, obviously you should stop.
I'm not sure I understand this. One of the messages.
U.S. Ambassador to Denmark, Doris.
Good morning. Good morning. Madam Leuthard, Ambassadors King, Fulton, Kornblue, and Eichen, Tagliavini, Rappold, National Rätin Markwalder, meine Frauen, and occasional man. Guten Morgen and herzlichen Willkommen. My name is Don Beyer, and I've been privileged to serve as President Barack Obama's U.S. Ambassador to Switzerland. But I've also privileged to have been born a white male American at the midpoint of the American century. All of my life, the structure of society has been set up for my benefit. I went to the #1 high school in Washington, D.C., which was all male. I went to the #1 liberal arts college in the United States, which was all male. I graduated and entered the business world and served on many national boards and councils that until the year 2000 were all male. I entered the Virginia Senate, where we had 2 women out of 40. And then I ran on the ticket with the first woman ever to hold a major party nomination for governor of Virginia. She lost by 17 points, while I won by 9, a 26-point swing. I say none of this to brag, but only to sound the note of tragedy. For I deeply believe that the progress of humanity, the advance of civilization, can and must be measured by the emancipation, inclusion, and leadership of women. Much has been written about the societies that have been most repressive to their women and how backwards they are in virtually every respect. But we can do so much more to advance the evolution of culture, peace, progress, and prosperity simply by improving the structures of our society to allow the full potential of women to be realized. I'd like to thank my wife, Megan, for realizing that tomorrow's celebration of the 100th anniversary of International Women's Day was a perfect opportunity to bring together the best and brightest of the United States and of Switzerland to talk about the real ways that we can move women forward. And so I'm honored today to be able to introduce Madam Doris Leuthard, who, as President of Switzerland, presided over the lowest unemployment rate in Europe, the strongest currency in the world, and real leadership in a very expeditionary foreign policy. She was also a very special friend to the United States because when Madam Leuthard was president last year, Switzerland ratified the new double taxation agreement with the United States. Switzerland finally and very bravely ratified the UBS agreement, putting that difficult affair behind us. And then for the great gratitude of President Obama and certainly all of the embassy, Madam Leuthard was president when Switzerland and the Federal Council agreed to take 3 difficult Guantanamo detainees and resettle them here in Switzerland, helping close Guantanamo. In so many ways, she's been a great friend. I know she had a great photo opportunity with President Obama last April, which was all over U.S. and Swiss press. So ladies and gentlemen, a true friend of the United States and a real leader in the world affairs and world politics, Madam Federal Councillor Doris Leuthard.
Ambassador, Excellencies, ladies, it's a pleasure being here, and I told the ambassador before, after this presentation, probably he will have a real fan club, because it's not very often that men are organizing women's conferences and putting us together to talk about the future. So many thanks, Ambassador, for your engagement. It is said that the Swiss get up early and wake up late. In matters of equal rights, our men in Switzerland certainly woke up rather late. In all the other countries of Europe, the men rose themselves somewhat sooner. In many other states, women were given an equal say in political affairs much earlier. Our men did not wake up until 1971. We are now celebrating, therefore, 40 years of political equality in Switzerland. Switzerland has now joined the ranks of normality and even done more because today we have more women than men in the government. We do have cause to celebrate, but not too extensively. Firstly, the female majority in the government is not reflected in the proportion of women in managerial positions in the business and academic world. While about 44% of the workforce and 50% of all graduates in Switzerland are women, just 20% of senior and top management is female. In Swiss blue-chip boardrooms, it's even worse. That figure lies at a mere 12%, and we have yet to achieve equal pay. Many organizations recognized long ago that mixed managerial teams produce better performance. In many areas, women are even the key factor for success. This was the case at the United Nations, whose peace missions in the civil war between Abkhazia and Georgia was headed by the Swiss ambassador Heidi Tagliavini. It was the case at WHO in the area of fighting malaria, where women play a special particular role, and in development cooperation in terms of microfinancing and the creation of small businesses, which is also normally under responsibility of women. We know that women's engagement in crisis-torn areas leads to positive results. This should and can be the case in other areas too. 100 years ago, roles were clearly defined. Affairs of state were to preserve of men, while family affairs were handled by women. This was according to the 1894 edition of Meyers Grosses Konversationslexikon, and it was still found, for example, in 1955 in Housekeeping Monthly, where I read in preparing this conference, it was given advice to women that when your husband comes home, greet him with a smile. Have ready a drink and his special and lovely pillow. Don't ask him what he did the whole day. Never question him. A good wife always knows where her place is. Yes, ladies, we know today where our place is. In many parts of the world, these ideas of gender have now been overcome. It has finally been recognized that women build bridges at the negotiating table in politics, business, and society, and they are the driving force for development. In short, women change the world. We need to make use of everybody's know-how, in particular the knowledge, abilities, and commitment of women when it comes to reducing the rate of climate change and ensuring that emerging countries do not make the same mistakes that we industrialized countries made in the past. We need to ensure that we use our limited resources carefully and preventing food shortages. We should ensure that we in the industrialized world shape our aging society sensibly and guaranteeing affordable access for health care, a right to quality of life and employment for the many young people in the emerging economies. We should cope with migration and integration into other societies, cultures, and religions, and encouraging growth in developing and emerging nations in such a way that sustainable social models, and particularly in light of current events in the Arab world, forms of government can be developed. It is now important for us to change the way we work. Gender policies alone will not make this world a better place. If we are 12 female presidents currently and also last year's, this won't change the world. If we really want to improve it, we can only do it if men and women work together as partners in teamworks. Many men still have to learn to cede power to women and live on equal terms. Many fathers still have to learn that looking after a child and the home is not just a weekend job. And part-time working models for parents still often require a lot of effort and juggling. And lastly, we women, also we have to accept that different ways of life of women are of equal value. So there are still many bridges yet to build in terms of achieving equality, equal standing, and equal opportunities for women and men in the world. We owe it to our children, we owe it to our society, and we owe it to our planet. A society needs role models. We can give so many people, so many young girls and boys, an orientation. So let us build these bridges at the negotiating table in politics, in business, and between the cultures in our society. Wish you an interesting morning. Thank you so much. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Susan Elbow, and I'm the Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy in Bern. In an internet and YouTube world, it's not that difficult to be famous. But to be famous and admired and over decades is an accomplishment of the highest order. So I'm very pleased this morning to bring you greetings from the two women who have consistently topped the list of America's most admired women, First Lady Michelle Obama and U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. First, from the White House and First Lady Michelle Obama. I am so pleased to send you my warmest greetings to all of you gathered at Sister Republics, Building Bridges, the next 100 years of women's leadership to celebrate the 100th anniversary of International Women's Day. Today, women hold positions in the highest levels of government, business, and nonprofits, and play a powerful role in shaping our world. Through perseverance and selflessness, leaders like you have opened doors to opportunity and improved countless lives. Your journeys and achievements are a perfect illustration of the progress women have made since this day was first observed 100 years ago. For the first time in Switzerland, after an historic election, women now comprise the majority on the Federal Council. In America, women now make up nearly half of our workforce and are a majority of university graduates. Across the globe, women are thriving in every sector of society and enriching their communities. However, while we have made important strides, you all know that this work is far from finished. That is why we continue to work on the challenges we face, bringing more women into fields like math and science where they are still underrepresented, closing the pay gap, and promoting workplace flexibility. Together, I know we can overcome the obstacles still before us and work to ensure our daughters and granddaughters and our sons and grandsons have the opportunities they deserve. Thank you again for your commitment to helping pave the way for the future. This dialogue is essential to our progress, and I wish you all the best for a successful conference. Signed, Michelle Obama.